Hi everyone, this is Mark Langell, and today I'm with somebody who doesn't need an introduction. You remember him as Mr. May. Mr. May, Bob Hunter, how are you?
Mark, let me say first of all, it's great to see you, and I'm doing just beautifully. And I want to say congratulations to all my pals from the old spinning class for joining us this Saturday. I'm just so sorry that I couldn't be here today.
Well, that's a topic of my 3-hour lunch because I wanted to stop by and see my good friend Bob because he wanted to be here. He has so many great memories, he tells me, of 5 in the morning, getting up that early, or just coming in and going straight to spin class. And I wonder, Bob, what do you remember about those days? It's so long ago, and you obviously still look great. Maybe you just want to remember them the way they were, you know, and not make them feel bad. What kind of memories do you have?
Mark, I really don't know where to begin. Let me think of the first thing that comes to mind, though, is lining up about 4:40 in the morning. It's dark out. The doors aren't open yet, okay? We're lined up out there, and finally the doors open. We rush in about 10 minutes of 5 to get a bike for the class that begins at 5:15. Rod, then Michelle, Cecil once in a while, Tim, and the others in there. So we rush in to get a bike, and then I realize, wait a bit, I've got to get out of here by 10 minutes of 6. So you and I once talked to Rod, and of course he thanked us for being there. We kind of got the class going, didn't we, honestly?
Well,
And
I just felt in your lead.
well, thank you, Mark. But I realized, and I talked to Rod, I confirmed this, that we actually did about 4.5 minutes of fairly hard work during that time. The rest of the time was chatting, saying hi to all our pals, and so forth. But the greatest experience, and I just wish I could have been here today.
Now, the 4.5 minutes, was that the whole class, or was he just talking about us?
He was just talking about us, I think. The other members worked really hard, you know, okay? I can start naming it, but I know I'm going to leave people out. So
You didn't know their names back then, really, either.
That's true. But was that the greatest? You love to talk, and you're very, very good. But I think what did it was you would just say something ridiculous and get me laughing. And then Rod, who was so nice all the time, would he'd just keep going and so forth. And then Cecil would fill in once in a while. And Pam would just roll her eyes, and Tracy and so forth. And Tim, very serious and so forth. Michelle, I don't know what she thought of us exactly. But
What was it like at the end of class? Because everybody else sort of had some sort of little sweat on them, but it seemed sometimes you were drenched. And a lot of people wondered, how could you start at the beginning of the Rocky song, and like 2 minutes and 34 seconds later, it just looked like Niagara Falls?
well, it did, Mark, and I have to say, it was you, Mark. He would dump water over me. Suddenly I'd feel, oh my gosh, he was taking his water and suddenly, surreptitiously, splashing me with his bottle of water. So I was soaked all the time. I never worked up a sweat. Never worked up a sweat. But he would take his water and just splash me, and that was it.
Well, I think the confession was there were a few people, and Mr. May never knew this, that a lot of people sort of felt intimidated because they thought it was too easy. Here's a guy that just waltzes in, and he did. He made it look easy. And so at the end of class, it was sort of like the equalizer, like, yes, Mr. May has to sweat too, and so it was just more of a prop. Just because he didn't need it, it was just more, try to be part of the group. I think when you're a world-class athlete, you kind of feel self-conscious, mixing it up with sort of the lesser talented people, and I think that's what happened. So he was a good sport to go along with it. And I noticed today, when I came to the Manor, I noticed that this must have been something from one of his races, and I just wondered what race it was. And Bob, tell me, it wasn't a race, was it?
No, it actually wasn't a race. Mrs. May and I like to hang out at the Beverly Hilton Hotel. You can see, I don't know if you can see the print on that. We get the cabana. I like to swim also. I'm multi-triathlete, basically. And I just like to do all kinds of things. And so we get the cabana, poolside, read, have a few drinks and so forth, and do some laps and so forth. That's what I'm basically doing in my spare time, along with my walking now. And I'm in this 10,000 step program. Yes,
Wow.
Daily 10,000 steps. I am up to my highest, and I think I'm on my way, is like 464 steps thus
Wow.
far. Is that pretty good, would you say?
That's outstanding.
Thank you.
What keeps you going? I mean, you don't have to do this. You could just sit there and watch American Idol or Scandal or that type of thing. You're just, every time I walk by, I'll drive by and I'll see there you're walking along. Sometimes you're carrying a sandwich from High Life, or sometimes Jamba Juice, but you're always walking, and I just find that amazing.
That's what I am. I am always walking. I have my old radio shows, my vintage radio app. I'm listening to old radio shows, waving to people. They honk inevitably. I say hi and so forth. People's cycling by. Not much cycling anymore. Once Lance got in trouble, I just kind of turned in my yellow jerseys. But then I always reward my walk with High Life. You know, I love the bacon and egg sandwich or the Denver omelet, which may not be the best way to end my exercise, but that's what I do, and it seems to work for me.
Well, we're showing this video to the class, and on a final note, they're coming back, and it's kind of like Old Timers Day at Dodger Stadium. You try to come back and regain your glory, and I just wonder what kind of advice would Mr. May have for that group? On Saturday morning, they're all going to try to come back and try to squeeze into those cycling shorts and those shoes, and you just kind of got to wonder, you know, obviously they won't have anything left, but they're going to try. And I wonder, what advice do you have to them for the later stages of their life?
The later stages, you've got to connect with people in the class, and that's the great thing about belonging to the Y. You do connect with people. You and I certainly connected, and we had a lot of laughs and so forth, and many of our other friends there. And then working with great teachers. My gosh, Rod and Cecil, gosh.
They let a lot go, didn't they?
They did. They did. But thank you. I'm so sorry I can't be there. I'm heading to Northern California. And
Are you biking?
I was going to the Amgen tour. I don't know if you're familiar with that. That was enough for me. But yeah, I'm just going to be driving and visiting my sister in Santa Cruz, my son in San Francisco. But I miss all of you guys, and Mark, thank you for thinking of me.
Oh, my pleasure.
It's an honor. It's an honor. Thank you. And have fun, guys, spinning today.